At 9 a.m. time for Bridging Civil Tension with your hosts, Phil Wallace and Kent Jones. Gentlemen, good morning. How are you today?
I can't hear you, Phil. Well, good. Where'd he go?
I don't know.
What happened?
We lost him.
I lost him.
I can see him. Can't hear him anymore.
It's a joy of modern technology. Everybody, welcome in to Bridging Civil Tension. It is October the 30th here, 2020. Is that's like 20? I don't know what I said. 2020. I don't know.
20.
2-aught.
Yeah,
right.
2-aught is the same. Yeah, you said it. It's okay.
I don't know. He's texting now. I can't hear you yet. We did have you just a minute ago.
Yeah, just a moment ago. He was sounding fantastic.
That's what happens when you trim your beard like that. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Man. I don't know. He was sounding great.
He was
before the show went live. This is just we'll figure this out anyway. What we really want to talk about today is peeling the onion back a little bit on some of our past shows. There's just some things I want to try to cover and understand, and Phil as well, which will be good. And we'll try to get his microphone and whatnot working and figure that out. So yeah. So we'll get all that taken care of, and we'll see.
Okay,
we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Anyway, Phil is working remote here in the great state of Illinois, going back on lockdown. And the interesting thing is, just to be safe, he does a lot of work with the general public, and just to be safe, he just wants to make sure that he's healthy. So one of the people that he trains with and trains may have tested positive. We're not sure. So Phil said, "Hey, let me do it from the comfort of my office." So that's where he's at today, which is fantastic. Well, we'll get you. Well, for some reason we lost audio. I know you may want to refresh your computer, maybe.
Yeah, he may need to go out and come back in.
Yeah,
which is what we'll do. That's okay,
and he'll do that. So maybe he'll come back in. So the interesting thing is, and what again, on the news and whatnot, there's still rioting. Things are going crazy. And here, Bridging Civil Tension, what we try to do is open up dialogue and conversations to help people try to take a look at some things differently. And one thing that I constantly get in my inbox for some of this is why is it, and when Phil comes in, we'll try to get there. Why is it that even though more white people are fatally shot by police each year, isn't that a big deal? Where more than half or close to half the number of black people are shot and killed, and that's a big deal. So we'll try to unwrap that a little bit and peel that back, and try to figure out why. And Pete, you and I talked a little bit about it
a little bit earlier
in the green room. And I don't know what the answer is, and I've got some numbers because, as I mentioned on It's Your Move on Sunday nights, is liars can figure, but figures don't lie. Right now, do we have Phil now? Say some words, Phil. Can you hear us? Anyone? I don't think he can hear us.
I think
Bueller, can you hear us?
This is hilarious. This is interesting because when he moved his laptop, I think, or his camera, I think I heard that move. But
I don't know. He must not be able to hear us. I just texted him.
And
I said, "Van, you hear us?" Ken, you hear?
This is fantastic radio.
It is good radio.
But hey, Gary.
Hey,
Gary.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Gary.
How are you?
So here's the number of people shot to death. I want to use this. Here's the number of people shot to death by police in. Ooh,
What is happening here?
he's got his phone and his computer on, I bet.
Okay.
I turned.
Oh, I heard him. Look at that. We're almost there. So,
is it clear now?
There we go.
All right.
That's fantastic. Wow.
Welcome
amazing.
in. We got there.
We got there.
Welcome in. So what we wanted to talk about a little bit again, there were a couple other blacks shot this week by police, and we kind of wanted to unwrap this a little bit. So did a little work, and the number of people shot to death by police in the United States by race is very interesting. If you take a look from 2017 through 2020, so far thus far in 2020. So in 2017, there were 600, 700, 800, 900 people, 900 people in the United States were fatally shot by police officers in the United States. So about 1,000 people. We round up to the nearest 1,000. Of that, 179 were Hispanic, and 44 were other, and 84 were unknown.
Okay.
Interesting. 223 were black, and 457 were white. So twice as many white people than black people were shot, but we don't seem to worry about that. Why?
Which it's always interesting when I hear that, because one, like, from the black perspective, we're concerned why that doesn't bother you guys. Like, why wouldn't you be alarmed that 400 of you were shot? On the flip side, I think that it's a way to discredit what black people are saying about being targeted by police officers, just to focus on the numbers versus the percentage of population. If we're only 13% of the population, there's less numbers of us to be shot by police officers, but it's still probably still a higher percentage. I think I saw somewhere it was 25% white versus 47% for black or something like that. But mathematically, if there's only 20 of us and 200 whites and more are shot, well, there's less numbers of blacks to shoot from. So I don't understand why it's so hard for people to understand those numbers, or why they use that as an excuse to justify police brutality towards African Americans.
I don't know. This is Pete, by the way, here in the producer's booth.
Hey, buddy.
How you doing? Ken had to step away to take an emergency call there. Hope everything's all right. But in what you're saying, I think to maybe kind of go back to the first thing, when you said we don't understand why you're not concerned about that. Any percentages or numbers or anything aside, Kent and I were talking about that a little earlier, and I think that our minds go first to not, hey, another, out of that many people, more than 400 white people were shot. Our minds, at least mine don't, and mine doesn't, and Kent's does not seem to either, go to, oh no, why are they shooting white folks? It goes to, guess they probably shouldn't have been doing what they were doing. That's the first thing our minds go to. It doesn't go to race, it goes to behavior. It goes to the why of it. And that seems to be, by and large, for any case. Somebody was shot and killed. Okay, why? Tell me the why. What was the behavior? It just, that seems naturally to be where that goes. So that's where we come at it initially, not why are you shooting so many white people? It's just, well, maybe perhaps they should not have been doing what they were doing,
Right.
because what caused you to get shot? And that's just our first thought.
Yeah. And I think that'd be a fair thought if it wasn't for like in other countries that the numbers aren't as high and they're still doing crimes. It's just not as many are leading to being murdered by police officers.
Yeah. So, and thanks for which is great. Gary says if a number of blacks as a total was extrapolated to the same ratio as white population, it might have a different figure. Okay.
It does. So that's where, Gary, that's a great point. That's where on the second part of what I said was if you look at percentage of population and then you look at those numbers, there was a graph that showed where it was like 40 something percent of black versus low 20s of whites. And then you're able to see percentage by population, not just numbers.
Yeah.
We're 13% of the population. Of course, those numbers are going to be less.
Right. Right. So sadly, the trend of fatal police shootings in the United States seems to only be increasing over these 3 years, with a total of 721 civilians have been shot. 142 of them are black as of September 28th, 2020. In 2018, there were 996 total fatal police shootings. 2019, this figure increased to 1,004. The rate of fatal police shootings among Black Americans was much higher than that of any other ethnicity, standing at 32 fatal shootings per million of the population.
What were the other percentages?
As of September 2020. I don't have it. What I'm looking at too is Statista. It's a website, Statista, STATISTA.com. But at the same time now, in my line of business, okay, because of fair lending and fair credit and things like that, we gather information to make sure we're not redlining and doing things like that, right? But the interesting thing is,
some of you, yes,
yeah. But the interesting thing is that when it breaks down and it gets into ethnicity, okay, it says Latino, not Latino, and then it gives types of Latin, then it gives not types of Latin, and I can put Latino, and then it breaks down and it goes into African American, white, or whatever.
Right.
So I can be a white Latino.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we take a look at it, in what way are we? So that brown person is white because it's not a Samoan, or so when we take a look at percentages of population, what is considering is Tiger Woods African American, Asian? What is he exactly, right? So to me, are those numbers skewed as well, saying that America is still an overly white country where there's more blended now, right, relationships than ever, whether it's African American and Asians, is it whites and Latinos? I mean, so as we become that melting pot, how are we defining what that race is?
I think you have the political correct way of doing things and defining that look good for resumes and interviews and requests, bank loans, things of that nature. But then you have the real humans analysis and their evaluation of what a race is.
Mm-hmm.
If I get pulled over, they're not going to notice the red hairs on my beard. Then that's to know that I'm Scottish.
Right.
That Irish stuff is out the window. I'm black. You could be a white Hispanic, and there's white Hispanics that look white, and so society accepts them as whites. But as soon as you look like your name is Hector, you're Mexican, and you get all those jokes and you get all those stereotypes. So I think that our country does a really great job of showing that we're trying to, or making it seem that way. But I think there's still that underlining thing of in the heat of the battle, people know where they are, which is why originally it said if you have a drop of black blood in you, but they didn't say black, then you're black. I think that let kind of the standard know early where they felt that they didn't want any type of contamination in the gene pool when it came to other races.
Yeah. So should the logical way by race, or should the logical way be race or ethnicity? Yeah, right. So the interesting thing is this, I think. So you can take a look at Brazil. Brazil, the police kill 6,160 people a year so far this year.
Mhm.
Venezuela, 5,287. Philippines, 3,451. A
Right.
lot of police killings, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Syria, 1,497. Now, the interesting thing is these countries aren't dividing it up by race or ethnicity. It's just a kill.
Yeah.
The United States are like, well, let's narrow this down a little bit and let's see.
Because apparently that matters.
Right. So
Well,
let's do this.
Our country is also historically known for racism, and those countries are really not divided up as openly as our country is about, well, you're one of these, but we're one of that. It's like, so that's probably why they would do that in our country, because racism has historically been an issue here.
Well,
could it be everywhere else too?
Those countries intentionally stay homogeneous. We talked about that before some time ago. If you look at that, a country that intentionally stays homogeneous, however you want to say it, that intentionally stays that way is, quite frankly, phenomenally racist. You don't have the option to be of another race to be in some of these countries. That's not even, there's no entry there. That's not an option.
Right. And that's why Gary restates, he says, like I mentioned last week, nationality first before race.
Yeah.
Right. So it's African American. It's not American black people, right? But here's the interesting thing. It just this year so far, up until September 28th of 2020, 287 white people have been killed by police. 142 black people have been killed by police. 96 Hispanic people have been killed by police. 17 other.
Okay, I want to know what the other was.
Stay with me. There's one more.
Okay.
And 179 unknown.
Okay. So other, what is other? Is that just simply unidentifiable and unknown?
It's like your hipster Asian friend.
Yeah. Right.
I don't down for the cause.
Right.
For the protest.
Right.
Unknown.
That kind of threw me. I'm like, okay, so there is 180 unknown. Now I guess you could get that.
So are those humanoid, but not necessarily human?
Right.
I'm just throwing it out.
Right. Albino? I don't know what it is, but the interesting thing is now I'm not trying to defend that there are more black people being fatally shot by cops, and I'm not trying to defend that there are more white people, right? What I'm trying to say is, why is it, if we're just going to go sheer numbers, why is it that the African American population, the black population here in America, gets upset because there's been 142 people killed by police, and the white people aren't when there's 287? Is it because we as white people just go, they probably deserved it?
Well, and that was kind of because Phil actually had said one of the reasons that they get concerned, because we don't get up in arms about that.
Right. Why not?
And
it's deaths.
And I said, when you had to step out a moment, I said, look, our mind goes to the behavior first. It doesn't go to anything else. It goes to behavior. Why were they shot?
The same white people who don't care that 287 people have been shot by police officers, fatally shot. These aren't just shot, this is fatalities.
Yeah.
Are the same ones who will stand on their soapbox and preach 220,000 people have died from COVIDs. What? Why did those 220,000 people matter and the 142 black people don't, or the 287 white people don't matter? What is our number as Anglo Americans? What's the, is it 100,000? What's the tipping point? What black people are saying is there's a problem. There's a problem.
Oh.
But they're not waiting for 100,000 deaths to say that there's a problem. Right. So I don't even know if it comes down to a racist thing, right? Other than there's some bad eggs out there in the police world, and reform needs to happen. But at what point does it irritate white people? And if you're out there listening, please join us, 216 The Net, on YouTube and or Facebook, and let me know your thoughts, because I'm trying to figure this out. If you take a look at a percentage, the percentage per million, that's pretty high for the other ethnicities right now. But what percentage does it have to be before somebody says, oh my gosh, this is a problem? And now you're going to make everybody upset, because why is it now all of a sudden a problem because there's this percentage of white people when that percentage of black people have been being fatally shot for how long? That's I don't know. It's weird to me.
Is it?
I feel that for some people, it may not be for all people, that they really don't complain because it's a means to an end. As long as police are targeting African Americans, it's almost like a casualty of war type of thing, right? There's going to be a couple Petes and Kents that have to get killed along the way to keep Jamals and Phils off the street and to keep them from being dangerous. So as long as we're allowed to continue to kill black people with the numbers that we do, incarcerate them with the numbers that we do, what's a few pawns removed off the board on our side, as long as we win the end game?
That's the fuck nuts. I'm sorry, excuse my language. But no, that's
show me where I'm wrong.
No. Again, here's where the math fails significantly. And I know we keep talking about numbers and percentages.
Right.
And the very first thing you have to do is look at the total amount of police interactions. And then you go from there. You can't look at population. You have to look at police interactions.
Why not?
Because population doesn't matter with regard to police interaction. That's the null and void of the population. It's the total police interactions, because police aren't out there shooting everybody willy-nilly. And if they were shooting everybody willy-nilly, and if they were targeting black people, there'd be way, way more black people shot than white people. There just simply would, because of police interaction numbers. That's true. Look at those numbers. That's real. Now, again, if you go and take a look and you say, hey, we're going to have casualties as a way to make you're talking about a final solution here. That's very, very Third Reichish. That's, that is, to me, that is absolutely insane. How on earth would you make the leap to the whole point of having police is to eradicate a race within the American society?
Historically, where has our moral compass as a country been pointed? Like, if you're going to just say like it's just some like far-fetched idea, morally, the things that we've done as a country, it's not as far-fetched as you may want to make it seem. We've done disgusting things as a country and justified it,
right,
over and over.
But at the same time, we keep poking the bruise, right? So Gary says, hey, it could be because the focus is on the cause of the shooting as opposed to the color of the person. Case in point, Marcellus Stinnett shooting. instead of finding out why he was shot, it was another black guy got shot. Right now, Marcellus he's the gentleman in Wisconsin,
Waukegan, right?
Yeah.
right? Is this the guy that tried to run over the police officer?
Well,
Is that
I believe so. I believe
Is this the Waukegan one?
I think so.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Because the Waukegan one was the kids were asked for their ID. They asked the officer why. For whatever reason, the girl decided to drive off. She hit a light pole, so the car was stopped, and then the car was shot multiple times.
You skipped a part.
I'm just telling you what I was told.
Well,
So what was the other part?
Well, the part that's on the dash cam that's been released.
What? They got dash cams?
They got dash
Okay.
cams. Your favorite stuff. Where's the cam?
Man, all of a sudden,
been
all of a
released.
sudden,
Hey, they were backing right into the guy. They were trying to run the guy over and get away. If you come at me with a car, I'm probably going to shoot too.
I'm with
just
you.
saying.
I'm glad that those dash cams work
I'm
on
just
this
saying,
one
right.
situation. It's
Yeah, they
super
happen to work.
convenient.
Well, you wanted them,
What?
you got them. There you go.
Hold on. I thought there was a process for this thing. I thought that when it was dash cam, body cam, it had to go through a couple checklists and take 4 to 5 months before it was released.
Yeah.
Yet
Well,
you're telling me conveniently
they whipped that sucker out this time.
African Americans, lo and behold, that process goes out the window. Man, imagine the surprised look on my face.
Yeah, I was just saying. It's there. It's there.
It's like I'm fine with that. Like if that's the case, then come at somebody with a car, then that's the way to handle it. Same situation, the guy with the knife in Philadelphia, they shot him 17 times for having a mental disorder, having a bad trip on his meds. The family let the police officers know, hey, he already has mental issues. He's having a bad case with his medicine. Let's de-escalate the situation. And because he has a knife, they shot him 17 times. No body cam footage though, Pete, but they shot him 17 times.
And I haven't seen that. I've read a little bit about it. And in speaking with, and I've not been in this, and I'll continue to go back. I don't know. I don't own a gun, right?
Yeah.
I'm not against it, but I don't own one. But the way that they're trained, and I spoke to a couple of people who are who are active police people right now, is the way that you're trained is you shoot until the threat is gone. And what they have said, and what a lot of people don't know, is they could shoot me and it'll feel like a bee sting, and I'll keep coming at you because I don't know that I've been shot.
Right.
Which I'm like, what? They go, yeah, it's not like Hollywood where you get thrown back through the wall when you take one bullet. If you are hyped up and who knows what, and you're aggressive and you're coming at me, I can shoot you once, and unless I hit you right in the right artery or through the heart where you drop to your knees, you don't know that you've been shot. You're going to keep coming. So I am to continue to shoot, squeeze that trigger until the threat is gone.
If that was the standard, then that'd be fine. But then I also shared a video about 2 months back of a white guy with a knife, and police officers surrounded him, gently bumped him with the truck, not sarcastically, gently bumped him to try to bring him down, removed the knife. Not a single clip was emptied. So on one side, I'm hearing we're trained, shoot to kill. On another one, if you come in with a police officer with a knife, but on the flip side, it's, well, of course they're not going to shoot him. He has a mental disability. They don't do this for this reason. And it just seems like the standard shifts coincidentally around color. Because if you're telling me that we shoot till the clip is empty, mental case or not, mental disability or not, then the white guy should have been laid down too, for whatever reason he was not.
Right. Now, what was that? That was where, in what country?
I have no clue.
Yeah, I think it was over in Europe, and it's interesting because there are places that in Europe The European countries, literally Denmark, Iceland, Switzerland, 0 police killings, right? Um, they're among the top 10 safest places to live in the world. Additionally, places like Hong Kong, Luxembourg, Malta, New Zealand, Norway, Portugal, St. Lucia, maybe have 1 police killing in a year, right? So that's why as we talk about police reform, how is it that they can have 0 police killings and be the safest places to live, and we have thousands each year, right? And it's a scary place to live. So yeah, and that's the interesting thing, and I think it goes back to as well the particular person, right? So talk about that for a second.
so here's a topic, discuss, right? But yeah, I don't know. It's my brain. I'm only speaking from my point of view. My brain always just goes to, it does go to the individual. It goes to the particular situation, the particular case. I'm not aware of the one, and I'd have to go back and look at your video. It is true that other countries handle things way differently than ours does. And I do think in some instances, our country by and large still has that. And I've said this before, we've had this conversation before. We still have that old West mentality because we're still a country in its infancy. We're not that old for a country.
And I wish Kent was here, because what I would say is, although that one video is in a different country, there are hundreds of videos of white people with weapons apprehended. So we're trying to pick and choose and find ways to loophole justifying how it happened. Well, it was here. Okay, but yes or no? Does it happen a lot of times in America as well, where white people can have knives, guns, or whatever, assault rifles, and walk right up to police officers and still be apprehended? Okay, then. So miss me with the Europe stuff. Like it happens here in the same situation.
And I would say it does. I don't know why. I really don't. I don't necessarily. I mean, but I grew up around guns. I grew up in a section of Missouri where, every high school pickup truck had 1 or 2 guns sitting on a rack in the back window.
Yeah.
And, you got into arguments, you got into fisticuffs with guys. You never, ever for a moment worried that someone would go out and grab a gun. Right. You just didn't. And we went out shooting in the country. We'd be walking around with guns, and people would come up. Officers, we had sheriffs drive up, and here's a band of about 6, 7 guys walking around with rifles and sidearms. And hey, what are you boys doing out here? Oh, we're just shooting at stuff over here. And okay, you being careful? Yeah, we're being careful. All right, then you guys carry on. There wasn't a fear of it.
No,
there was no anticipation.
That's because there was a guy in the background playing the banjo.
No. We do have a banjo in the studio. Maybe that's why we're so comfortable with this. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I just don't.
Well, it's like somebody saying, "Hey, you've got cancer," and you go, "Okay," and away you go, right? So the problem is there are bad police officers, right? There are police officers on the take with gangs down on the south side of Chicago. That's how they support their family, because I'll look the other way, you slip me an envelope of cash, right? So there's a lot of corruption in there. There's also the wall of silence,
the
right?
Mafia.
Yeah.
The mafia and the prohibition, long before it was the gangs of South Chicago.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were just the mafia gangs, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, and it still goes on today. There are corrupt police out in the suburbs. Believe it, There are. And then there's that police union who is going to back you. So, hey, you know what? If I know that my partner is not going to say anything and I can get away with, then hey, all good, right? Now, I'm not saying that I'm not saying that that's everybody, and nor am I saying that I could point one out, because I can't. I don't know, but I can't be naive enough to say, hey, uh, you know, there's no problem at all, right? And it goes. I think we have to take a look at that. It goes further than shootings as well, right? Yeah, Phil, you can hear us? You good?
He blipped out there for
Did
a
we
second,
lose him
and then
again?
he bipped right back in, and now he's gone again.
Yeah, we'll try to refresh him and get him
All
back.
right.
So the interesting thing is, I think, is that are we focusing too much in one category, right? To say, let's take a look at the grand problem, the bigger issue. And I think if there's going to be change, that we have to take a look at, how are they trained? Now Phil brings up the gentleman out there whose family called in right away and said, listen, he's on the loose. He's got a knife. He's a little bit cuckoo. He's off his rocker. His meds aren't working right. We want to let you know so that you could try to de-escalate it. Well, I'm a beat cop. I don't know anything about the drugs that he's on. I don't know anything about the psychological profile of this guy, and I don't think I can. Certainly, I'm not a negotiator. I can't talk him down. I said, listen, I'm here to serve and protect, and that's what I'm going to do, is try to serve and protect. But when I feel that my life is, being threatened, and a man is coming at me with a knife, then maybe I do shoot him, even though I know everything that was wrong with him. But what kind of training, what kind of psychological training do police go through? I couldn't tell you, if any.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've got to show up. I mean, just and what was it, Pete, and Phil? Within the last 10 years, out in Lakemore, a guy who had been a police officer for 15, 20 years goes out to a domestic dispute, knocks on the door opens, and the guy gets blown away with a shotgun.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're walking into.
No.
Right. And I mean, that's interesting. But what kind of psychological, what kind of training to deal with these issues do the police go through? I don't know if they go through any. I mean, do they sit and watch a film strip? Hey, this is Betty, and she's on heroin. Beep. I don't know. What I've got to have faith in is I got to have faith in that the police are not out there targeting Black people. Right. But at the same time, I can't be naive enough to say that, why does Phil in the Midwest have the same experience or fear as Julie, an African American in the Northeast, does, as Jennifer, an African American in the Southwest, does anytime that they get pulled over by a police.
Right. And I agree with you on that. When you look at that, hey, it's not just Phil, it's here, and here.
Yeah.
These people don't even know each other. They haven't got together to talk about this, but we hear about this. What the frick is going on? And that gets back to behaviors,
right?
And it's behaviors of the police officers. And why are those behaviors happening? Why isn't that being asked? And why isn't that being addressed?
Yeah. Focus on the causation, not the conclusion. I agree with that. Now, but here's the other thing, though. Because of the media, because of the spin and training that they have, right? So we have seen, I believe all three of us have seen the YouTube training where the two officers are on the side of the interstate. The guy gets in the car and shoots both the, reaches into the car, grabs a gun, African American, and shoots both the police. That's a training. That was a dash cam and a training that went through all of police. All of them had to watch this and be trained to say, hey, well, can I, as a typical person that does I pull somebody over and they start copping a little bit of attitude, where does my mind go? Oh shit. Here we go. And all of a sudden I'm pulling out my revolver going, listen, you're giving me attitude. No, I'm not. Hey, no. Whoa, put the gun in. Don't tell me what to do. You know what I mean? It escalates quickly because I don't think, that, hey, they've been trained that, here's a big African American male. He's 6'6", and I get that he's in a Mercedes, but he's, and he's got his family in the car, but he's questioning me, and here we go. Now we're out and getting after people. I don't know. I don't know the right answer. What I do know is there's got to be better training. There's got to be more training. I think that if you ask me, that just like you're pulling up my information on your computer on my license plate, I ought to be able to take somebody should come up with an app where I can take a snap of your badge number, and it's going to tell me, whoop, Yeah,
okay, this is how I better be dealing with this dude.
Yep. This guy, take for instance the guy with George Floyd, who has 17 times or whatever. All of a sudden you're like, yeah, you know what? I guess I'm not gonna unroll, put my window down, and I'm gonna request backup in somebody else.
Right.
I don't know. That would be my way, right? Yeah, behaviors do become the stereotype. You're right. Now,
can you hear me, Ken?
Yep.
Sweet. I definitely think that app would be helpful, especially when you find out that someone has 17 priors based off race alone. Then be able to have a pause, almost like a timeout. Hey, can we wait till more people show up? Because I don't know how I feel with my life in your hands of a person who has 17 priors.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I'm not here. I'm not going to run away. My car is in the park.
Take the keys. Just don't take my life.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question, Phil. You get pulled over by the police, and she steps out of the squad car, and she's 5'3". Are you scared for your life?
Yeah.
Even with a cute little gal.
Here's why. So I was in Cary, Illinois, which is close by.
Yep.
And I was working with my buddy's roofing company. I had a bright green shirt on. Off-duty officer says that I shouldn't be in this neighborhood, calls the police, says that I have baggy pants on and a backwards baseball cap. On the video footage, you actually hear me tell the guy it's a trucker hat, so if you're going to be racist, at least be accurate. Who shows up is a 5'2", 3, 4-ish police officer. She was nice, but the other officer who pulled up out of the SUV had his gun off the holster when he arrived to the conversation.
I shouldn't laugh. Literally, I know he's in a company uniform.
Yeah.
I'm not in all black. I'm in a bright green,
right,
like a neon highlighter
trucker hat,
because I know what I look like.
Yeah.
Right. I have fitted jeans on because I'm not going to show up to your doorstep with baggy pants as a 6'5" black dude. That would be unintelligent. So I'm having a good conversation with the female officer. I'm letting her know that, we have our permit. This is what happened. This is how long the guy followed me. And for whatever reason, the other officer, even though there's no hostility, even though we're literally smiling, having a conversation, when he gets out of his car, the gun's off the holster, to the point where I literally say, why is your hand off the holster? And then the female police officer looks, and then she kind of looks at me and looks at him and kind of gives a lower your weapon signal and says, I have it under control.
Jesus.
So just that fast, even when I had my guard down, because
in the middle of the day,
it wasn't sun, it wasn't dusk or anything like that. We're in the shadows. I emerged. No, it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So you can see me. But when I thought that my guard could be down because I was talking to a 5'2" officer, my life was still in danger when another officer came to assist the big bad guy in the neon colored shirt.
Yeah. No, and Heather, thank you. You're right. 17 priors isn't a lack of training. That's a broken system. That's what that
It's a
is.
broken person.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I have 17 priors, what does the system do to me?
Right.
I'm gone long before my 17 priors.
Yep.
It is a broken system if they allow that type of individual to stay on the force, knowing that he's a threat to minorities and has a gun.
Well, and it's just a matter before it's anybody. It's
Right.
not.
Yeah.
He's now above the law. Is
Yeah,
what
I mean,
he's thinking.
I think 2 or 3 of them were either near fatal or fatal occurrences, and then other occurrences that were on racism. At what point do you realize, hey, this guy's a threat? We either need to sit down and talk to him, take his gun, something.
Right.
If we, but what he's doing and how he's doing it isn't working.
Well, as a HR hiring person,
Right.
for that branch of the or whatever, for that station or whatever.
Well, from an HR point of view, that is a miserable failing, and it actually is a miserable failing of what has become indicative of unions.
Right.
And and I'm speaking from an HR voice, of which I have 30 years experience. Unions are not now what they were originally designed and meant to be. There's actually, technically speaking, not even a need for them because of the amount of legislation we have in place. That dude should have been fired way, way, way long ago.
Oh yeah, he should. He should be following people around in Kohl's.
Yeah, it depends on what a Crystal Lake. It depends on the mission of the company, though.
Right.
If your mission is protect and serve, then yeah, HR or whoever else should have let him go. Now, if your mission is a little bit different, and you allow a person to get to 17 priors, all with racial topics, because he's doing what the goal is, and we can allow it and justify it, and keep giving him slaps on the wrist for taking lives and messing up people's futures.
Be mindful, though, and I'm still speaking in an HR brain mode, that the mission of the company is completely entirely different than the mission of a union. And those are two very, very different things.
Yeah.
Because a company, be it private sector or public sector, cannot operate outside of the union agreements and the union contracts. So you got to look at that before you can look at the company. And that's just, again, just an HR kind of thing. So,
Pete, what I'm saying is, union or company, if you're allowing an officer to stay on the force with that many priors.
Oh, you're a dumbass. Yeah.
So union or company, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone who that agenda lined up with decided to keep him on because what he was doing was making sense for what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it's stupid.
Well, and the hypocrisy.
Not you. I mean, that.
Why are your fingers crossed?
No. Because see, Phil can't see me because I'm off camera. No, I'm just saying that line of thinking with regard to people who want to go ahead and be okay with these kind of behaviors is, to me, absolutely incredibly idiotic, moronic, and quite frankly, it's self-destructive, because what you reap, you're going to get back. What you sow, you're going to get back.
Phil, did you win a date with Cookie?
I might have. I hope so.
And speaking of winning a date with Cookie, so here's the. I guess the hypocrisy is what also is downplayed, right? Of course, welcome into the studio, our studio whore. Now made it on every show but one. Steph Conley from Steph's Bookkeeping, right down the hall. Fantastic. So,
hi, Steph.
So the interesting thing is the hypocrisy, where a lot of the population will, well, that's just one bad officer. Okay. Now, the issue is, why is it just one bad officer, but it's every black person? right? One bad apple spoils the whole bunch. Still is a thing. And I have to tell you, that's why I asked Phil, okay, you see a Stephanie Conley get out of the car with her little blue outfit on, right? Because she's a cop, 5 foot nothing, comes up to the door, and your anxiety still is there because of one bad apple. It doesn't matter, right? Now, she may be the nicest police officer in the world doing her job because she loves to do it, serve and protect, but it doesn't mean that all of a sudden the guard doesn't go up.
Right.
Because we excuse it saying, well, yeah, that guy. It's one guy. No. You can't have it both ways. You can't say it's just one police officer, but it's every black person. Right? You can't.
We can't.
You can't excuse
especially if it's police officers across the nation, but then you base every black person off of Chicago. Like, it's really, really a double standard.
Yeah. And Melissa, I hope you're excitedly yelling at me, not just yelling at me.
She's excited.
So I don't mean to change the subject and interrupt your show.
However,
I'm going to.
That's what I'm going to do.
Because I'm an accountant and that's what I do. Thanks, Nicole, for specifying also. So I wanted to announce to everybody that Phil has won a date with our friend Cookie.
Oh.
And I just wanted to come by and personally let him know that the show or that the date will be sponsored. And
hey, I'm coming along. No. Look, we even had a plate of what right there for him?
Of cookies.
We had a plate of cookies.
We had a plate of cookies for you. And everything, but
I'm not gonna say that on radio.
Peanut butter chocolate chip.
Ooh.
Yeah, that is. Thank you, Melissa. I love you for that. Right.
So that's what I came by to tell everybody that Phil is the winner.
Nice, congratulations, Phil. Winning.
Go time, Cookie.
Winning.
Cookie's in a parent-teacher conference right now, so she couldn't tune in, but
she's probably got it.
But all the other members of our panel are tuning in. You could see that they're all chiming in right now.
They are. I see that. Yes.
So
here's what I hear, and we kind of started by peeling this onion back a little bit with numbers, and the question that I have is, hey, white people, when are you going to say enough is enough? Because almost 300 white people have been fatally shot by police this year. And we always just say, probably deserved it. Right? Or, well, you should have obeyed what the police said. Right?
Comply.
Right? Hey, what is your favorite cookie, Phil? There's a question out there.
Chocolate chip.
Chocolate chip. chocolate chip or just chocolate chip?
Regular chocolate chip. I'm a good mix of the two.
Phil doesn't discriminate. He likes the milk chocolate and the white chocolate.
That's right. And she ain't no gold digger.
Ho! Clean it up, people. Come on.
So I wanted to bring this up, and Phil and I talked a little bit about it because of a couple other shootings. But I wanted to try to bring light to some attention to just say, listen, a lot of the pushback or response that I get is, yeah, but more white people are shot by police. Okay, why doesn't that bother you?
I had a police officer draw a gun on me.
Is that right?
But
I know you've been handcuffed.
That's a different story for a different show.
Apparently, you get the point of that story, Ken. But
yeah, I mean, I had a cop. Me and my mom got into a disagreement when I was 13, and so I was hopping a fence, and a cop told me to stop, and I stopped on the fence. But when he came around the corner, he had his gun unclipped, and I was off the fence by the time he got into the backyard. And he grabbed me, and I had a perfect handprint around my arm for a good 2 weeks. I mean, at that point in time, I was maybe 95 pounds, and that was a grown man cop.
Man cop.
It wasn't like, so I mean, I've had situations where.
And that's GROWN, man cop. Not GROAN.
Yeah. So I mean, that was kind of
that's a little freaky, right?
Well, yeah,
I've had it.
I don't feel like I was like a threat to the police officer in any way, shape, or form.
I had literally, it was at like 6:37 in the morning, a pound on my door. I look out the window, and there are 3 sheriffs, one in front of the door, one flanked over to what would be my left as I'm looking out the door, and one down by the garage door. And the 2 that were flanking have their guns drawn in my front yard. So I'm like, I open the door. I'm like, can I help you? Is this your house? Yes, it is. I'm Kent Jones, and it's 6 in the morning. I'm standing there, like, don't even know what's going on. I haven't had coffee yet. And they're like, does Ashley Jones live here? I go, yeah. Is she here? Well, her car's out front. I would hope that she's here at 6 in the morning. We need to talk with her. Hang on. Let me go get her. I walk down and I get my daughter, and I'm like, can you help me understand why there are 3 sheriffs here, 2 with drawn guns, asking for you? The fuck did you do last night?
Right.
I didn't do anything, Dad. I went to Okay. So she comes up, and it's a different Ashley. Another blonde, white Ashley. She fit the description, somebody said, and it was Ashley Jones. So they find out where Ashley Jones is, right? And they come, and she's like, no, it was Ashley such and such. And no, I didn't. And this, that, and the third, right?
Wow.
But the whole while, the 2 that were flanked didn't take their hand, didn't put their guns away, because they were called on a domestic thing. And I'm just like, and I just stood there. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Why would it's 6 in the morning, right? So I don't know what the training is, nor it must have been a pretty bad situation.
Right.
It's been 3 over for a teenage girl, right? With 2 with drawn guns, but and that's what I'm saying is one bad apple spoils the bunch. And so we can't defend police saying, well, he's a rogue police, he's a bad police. And we can't use the opposite side saying, well, you heard Phil say it. Yeah. Hey, if they tried to run him over and that's yeah, good. They're okay. That's a justification, right? But just running up to a car and laying lead into it without any purpose is not, and it's happened, right? So that's the problem, I think, anyway. But that's why I wanted to talk about that, because Pete, you get it a lot too. You do. Pete, more white people are shot, black on black. Black.
We're not gonna look at percentages. We're just gonna blame Chicago. That's cool.
But again, my brain always goes to, well, why?
Yeah.
Why were they shot? People die every day. It's what we do. We're born, we die. We're born, we die. Whether it's of natural causes or at the hands of some other person or some other thing or instance or whatever it might be. People are born, they die. So why? Show me the why. Why was this person shot? Because we're not, again, in the grand scheme of things, this is going to sound really shitty. In the grand scheme of things, not that many people die at the hands of police. If you're going to look at all the numbers, all the deaths, everything that occur every day, sure. It's not
COVID.
Comparatively to anything else. People die. It's what we do. It's what we're born to do. Literally, we are born to die. That's how this works. It's not a huge number. Maybe that's why we look at it and go, okay. And we are desensitized to much of this because, again, we're born to die. It's just what people do.
There's a great Iron Maiden song about that.
And it could be a good song, couldn't it? So I know how absolutely callous that sounds. But again, I'm going to go personally. I'm always going to go, why were they shot? Tell me the why. Don't tell me. I don't want to know anything else about them. I want to know why. Give me the why. Give me the causation, and then let's take a look at that. So, it's a crap thing to say, but that's my brain. That's where it goes.
So no more than 6 months, Heather says, of training at the academy.
Can't show you why if the body cam's not turned on.
Yeah.
And I'm right there with you on that. That thing should never go off.
Yeah,
frankly,
number one,
it should never go off. You it's on when you put it on, and it goes off when you're off duty. You take it off.
Right.
It should just automatically be on when you put your uniform on. That should never ever turn off. I don't even care if you're in the damn bathroom. Your body cam should be on. I don't want to see that, but
now we're talking about a whole different gun. If you know what I'm talking about. Is that a single action? Sorry. Bridging civil tension, that's what it is. I absolutely adore everybody who's on right now. I absolutely adore your thoughts. It helps me grow as a person. It helps me understand situations better. And that's what this whole show is really meant to do. But, instead of just going back to song and verse, hey, there's more white people. Hey, it's a higher percentage of black people. What is the cause of all this? And there's one underlying cause that there is that we have to start taking a look at and saying that's what needs to be fixed. And until we can fix the cause or get rid of the cancer, you're still going to be sick, right? Conveniently they're shut off, or conveniently they don't have the footage at all. Yeah, too many times. It's too many times. Or it's hidden because we want to make sure the jury's not tainted.
See, and here's the thing. If your body cam is off during a situation or at all during your shift, that should be automatic termination.
Listen,
done.
You can't become a psychologist without 100 hours of practice time. You can't become a surgeon. You should have to have so many 100 hours of psychological training to become a police officer. You should have to have so many hours of in the gun range, whatever they do, But it's like the military. You start off as a grunt. And you got to work your way up, and you work your way up by proving yourself. If you're not fit to be a gunner, guess what? You're going to be in this. You're going to be in the kitchen. Yeah. That's what we need to have happen. Instead, it sounds like hey, you're a redneck with an attitude. Come on in. Here's a badge. You're now a deputy, right?
I didn't say it.
Right? How does it work? And then, whoops, Pete. Listen, not a big deal, Pete. The union's going to take care of you. We got a good attorney. This will be washed right under. It won't even be in your file.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I have my official redneck M&M.
You do have your NASCAR hat.
M&M NASCAR hat. So yeah.
So. But and thanks. And it's a weird show, but Phil, we're praying that you are healthy and safe. Hopefully, the test comes back that everything is good there, and with the training crew down at Life Zone 368 is basketball, and we'll have you back in here next week. Yeah. Wonderful seeing you finally on this show. That is great, Stephanie Conley from Steph's Books. It's getting towards that time of the year, so give her a call. She can help your company out tremendously at stephsbooks.com. Pete, as always, great job in the produce booth over there.
Produce.
Yeah.
I do
Thanks
work
for
produce here in the studio. Yeah.
And I apologize for stepping out. I had a couple of calls due to work. And,
you're fine.
And I had to jump out. But next week we'll come back. We'll come back at it. Phil, hopefully you'll be healthy. We'll be in the studio.
I will be there.
And here's what I'm going to ask. You turn that body cam off with that date with Cookie. I don't.
No, leave it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a date with Batwoman. This is
yes, sir. Absolutely fantastic. And it's sponsored, so that's even better. Right? You can really come in looking like a G, which is good. All right, man. For all of us here at 216 The Net, thanks for tuning in. This is really becoming one of my favorite shows. Tune in tomorrow morning at 9:30 as Lana, the metaphysical meanderer, is going to have some ghost stories and ghost pictures. It's going to be a good one.
nice.
Gary, have a good evening. Have a great weekend, brother. Don't forget to set your clocks back, and please get out and vote. Vote, vote, vote. Phil, any last words?
Love you guys. Thank you for your time, Ken. Thank you, Steph.
You're a beautiful man. Bad boys, bad boys. He's
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? You chuck it on that one, you chuck it on this one, you chuck it on your mother and you chuck it on your father, you chuck it on your brother and you chuck it on your sister, you chuck it on that one and you